Hey running friends, Wrinkled Runner here. Today on the podcast I'm going to be talking about rest and recovery in the older runner. We are called masters, believe it or not. Anyone who runs who's over 40 is a master runner. Though it's important for anyone of any age to get on board with recovery, those of us who are older may need to consciously make the choice to build it into any training that we're doing. A lot of training plans, I can't actually think of anyone that wouldn't, but most plans give you a day-by-day run to do, whether it's 3 days a week, 4 or 5, whatever. You may be able to pick the days you run, but there will be times that you have back-to-back days. And most of those runs will probably feel okay, and if you're sticking to 80% of your runs feeling easy, then you're ahead of the game. But don't give in to the temptation to always just go and go and go. And if your body's telling you it needs a break, then take it. I've not done the research on this, but my hunch is most runners are type A personalities, and we want to check off those boxes. So if a plan we got from the internet tells us we need to run 4 miles today, even though we ran 5 yesterday and we feel strained and fatigued, we're going to do it. The problem with generic training plans is that they don't take factors like age and fitness into consideration. I nearly ran myself into the ground following a certain marathon training plan from a highly regarded book until I recognized I was overtraining and burning out and just wreaking havoc on my body. I also came across 2 sentences in that book while trying to find an answer to why I felt so awful. And that, quote unquote, allowed for those of us who were older to cut back on some of the running. That mentally gave me permission to back off and take stock of where the training was taking me, which wasn't actually in a very good direction. But it should not have taken a sentence in a book written by someone who has never met me and has no idea about my personal running to allow myself more rest and recovery time. I should have just known better and done it on my own. If you're an older runner who is just starting out, taking rest and recovery seriously now will really go a long way to help you get fitter and faster. Those of us who have worked out muscles in the gym through lifting know that when we do strength training, we are actually damaging our muscles just a bit, and the recovery time is needed to repair that damage, which in turn makes the muscles stronger. Our running bodies are the same way. We do a little bit of damage when we go for a run, and recovery is needed to build up the muscle fibers used to run. Our recovery as we age may look a little different than when we were younger. The rest our bodies need may take up to 2 full days instead of just 1. If you find yourself fatigued and getting slower even after a rest day, your body is telling you it needs a bit more recovery time. I take those days to do light strength training of my arms or maybe some gentle yoga. If I want to do something a little more strenuous like a spin class, that will usually be in the place of a speedy run. It takes many of us a long time to learn that rest days are vital to our growth as runners. If you can grasp that early on, then you're going to be ahead of some of us who have actually been running a long, long time. Because I have my coaching certification through the RRCA, I take the approach they teach of having a couple of weeks of regular growth workouts and then more of a gentle rest week to build our fitness and freshen us up for gearing up again. I also always recommend a podcast episode with Pete MaGill, who is a masters runner and has records for his fast 5Ks. He has written several books on running and did an excellent interview with Tina Muir of the Running for Real podcast that I will link to in the show notes. Listen to that interview for some really good information on allowing your body to rest and recover. Injuries can also be held at bay by taking rest days and making sure you're getting enough sleep and eating right. And if we aren't injured, we can keep on running. If you haven't started running yet, I encourage you to check out the 10-week program put out by the RRCA, which I'll link to in the show notes. You can also watch my YouTube channel video all about it or read the post over on the Wrinkled Runner website. I'll of course link to all those. Any questions about a specific running issue you're having? You can email me at sherry@wrinkledrunner.com and I will be sure to get back to you and possibly use the question in a Q&A podcast coming up. I may even ask to interview you. Head over to Facebook and join our community over at the Wrinkled Runner Facebook page, or you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Next Monday, our topic is warming up before a run. Until then, Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you on the run. On next week's episode, we're going to be talking about warming up, and I'll be linking you to different resources to be able to see some warm-ups that you can do before your run.